at the table, because they're coming back, the choir's coming
Who's
on
gonna get
16th.
newspaper this week? Left or right side? Catherine's always taking pictures,
Okay.
left or right side.
We can do
I'm
that.
thinking it's left side.
It might just be easier that way.
I was in 2 weeks ago, so.
Okay. Just make an amendment to the agenda for items C and B, C and D. Motion to put them back. Yep. Oh, Colin?
Yeah.
Yes, to your question.
Oh, okay.
I just,
Cool.
our mail came at 6:15.
6:15.
Yeah.
We just got it.
That's right, any mail has to go through Lansing, does it?
Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids
Grand
now.
Rapids now. Yeah, no wonder.
But they didn't work Monday
Such a
either,
hard
so
time today.
they were probably doubled up
In the microphone.
after the weekend, so.
Here it is.
Is it warm in here, or just me?
It's just you.
Old gate.
Aren't you always
I
wanting
won't
to
ask
go?
to turn the heat down. I might as well hit one of those before I get started.
Which one? Don't need to talk about that one.
Tap the city clerk,
Yeah.
right behind you, Ty. Did you get your paperwork from Ms. Domingo?
Okay, very good.
Go bring it to school tomorrow?
Three minutes and counting. It's gonna take a lot longer to do that thing full screen, isn't it? It's our website. That's why we don't do it.
That's probably about right.
So, someone bring us punch keys? Oh, no punch keys. Oh, man, I was hoping.
I'm just
I was
gonna
hoping for
remove
punch
them,
keys.
so
It's not punch
I'm not
keys.
gonna table them, I'll just remove them and then
Oh. Joe, isn't it tradition, Mayor Joe? Isn't it tradition when we have a meeting on Fat Tuesday that the mayor provides punch keys?
let's check that out next year. Last I saw, they were going for like $20 a
I
dozen or a
know,
half dozen
I know,
or something.
I know.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Donuts. maybe.
And for, what is it, 10,000 calories per,
Oh, yeah. It's like 31 points per on Weight Watchers. It's like,
yeah.
I blew through my bonus points today. Easy.
Are you set up? Mm-hmm. Yes, right at the stand.
looks fast. By 3 minutes.
Sarah has a presentation. Does she need to get set up? Oh, okay. We'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and get started, so. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to February 17th council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. We'll start off with a moment of silence to be observed, please. Thank you. The pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barnes.
Here.
Reed. Brown.
Here.
Wheaton.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
French.
Here.
Mayor Domingo.
Here, thank you. Mayor and council members' comments. Are there any comments this evening? Yes, Maurice.
First, I'd like to give heartfelt condolences to our city worker, Jay Loomis. He's our cameraman. He works for the city of Albion, and he's my friend. He lost his mother in the last 10 days, and his mother was close to my family. And I just want to say we love you, Jay, and we're sorry about your loss. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate the Albion Community Schools. The elementary was voted academic state champions at the elementary level. They scored 111.3 points. It shows that the school is really teaching and the students are really learning. And they didn't just creep in there. They scored in the middle of the pack. It was about 65 schools in that category, and they finished somewhere number 51 to 52. Also at the Albion Community Schools, I'd like to really compliment the maintenance department. They have a couple great guys, Harry Armistad and Wayne Griffin. If you ever ride by the school, you can see how beautiful it is in the spring and the summer, how they take care of the grounds. Also, I'd like to thank how they've taken care of the snow this year. With all this snow, you can ride by there, you can see the students walk on the sidewalks and the parking lots. And I just want to thank them. And finally, I just need to say, go State, beat Michigan tonight at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Cheryl.
I just wanted to thank our chief, Scott Kipp, for being a part of the audience and being there to answer questions if necessary on Thursday night. During a forum that was held at the college on race and relations with the police. I think we're very, very fortunate to have someone who doesn't back away from those tough conversations. And it was really nice to see Chief Kipp there. And I wanted to make sure that not only that I thanked him, but that the rest of the city who didn't happen to be at that conversation realizes that we have someone who will be there during those difficult conversations. So thank you, Chief Kipp.
Garrett?
Yeah, that's what I was going to comment on, too. There was a really great panel discussion. I know that Mr. Dunklin was on there from the WCP. There were 2 students and then a faculty member, and then Mrs. Stell was there, and I think it was really terrific. And I know they videotaped it, so hopefully we can get it on the public access channel or something like that. And I look forward to, I know that Professor Lynn Baker, who is I believe she's sociology? Sociology. At the college, yes. She's going to be working with Kimbra Estelle and with the police department to develop some cultural competency, diversity training. So I'm looking forward to that because that was a really great discussion, and hopefully we can find some way to have everyone to see it. So,
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. Last week I got my cable bill from WOW. They informed me in a little tiny clip at the top that Channel 6 will no longer be available the middle of March. That in turn takes away severe weather that you really, really watch good because it's Albion's a lot. Takes away the school closings, the information for Calhoun County, because all you have left is over by the lake. And also the bill went up. So just point of information, Channel 6 will disappear for those people.
We have WOW coming up here in a little bit. Hopefully they can explain that, so. I have one announcement from the American Legion, Post 55 of Albion. On Saturday, May 2nd, they'll be placing flags at Riverside Cemetery for over 1,300 military veterans. All volunteers are welcome. That'll start at 8 o'clock at the cemetery office, and if it happens to rain on May 2nd, they will do it on May 9th. There is coffee and sweet rolls and hot chocolate, and all the volunteers that they can get would be greatly appreciated. That's a lot, taking over 1,300 flags and putting throughout the cemetery. So that again is May 2nd. Is the actual day. Rain day is May 9th, and it's at 8 o'clock at the cemetery office, so.
You'll announce that closer to May 2nd, right?
Okay.
3 months.
Further
4
agenda
months
item.
away.
Thanks, Andy. If that's all the comments this evening, we'll move on to our presentations. Did Sarah get set up? Okay. Sarah Kelly with Solid Waste and Recycling Coordinator for the new recycling partnership has a presentation this evening.
We have souvenirs.
Oh. Posters. Flyers.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much, thank you.
While we're waiting for the things to go, I just wanted to say that the program that we have is now about recycling, about using and reusing. So to remember that, we have pencils here. These are made out of recycled blue jeans. So no trees were killed to use this.
Sweet.
Thank you.
It's a cotton pencil.
Are we paying for this?
One way or another.
It's a cotton pencil. Turns, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah.
Well, we opened the new recycling center this past week on Wednesday, and we were very pleased with a good turnout. We had 100 vehicles pass through the center on the first day that we were open. It was a bit chilly, and we had mixed precipitation throughout the day. And then on Saturday, even though we did have kind of bad weather, we still had 50 cars come through the center too. And so we're filling up our bins quickly and probably faster than what we had anticipated. And everybody seems fairly happy. I've only received one complaint phone call. So I am very pleased when you start a new program like this, when you have a big, an event, you move that many people through a collection. It's pretty common that you do have some negative feedback, but really it's been extremely positive. All right. Well, what we did to the center was that we took the drive-in whenever you felt like it and drop off your items and converted it into a limited hour staffed recycling center. And in order for us to do that, we had to limit the hours of operation to Wednesdays and Saturdays. And in the future, we can potentially grow those hours, but to start the program out, we are open Wednesday, 10 to 6, and then on Saturday from 10 to 2. Outside of the center, right in the driveway, we have temporarily attached the sign, and underneath it a sign of all the items that we take at the center, so people that do have questions or curious about whether or not what they have can be collected at the center can pull up and see the hours and what items that we take. We also have placed flyers here at the City Hall. We have them at the Health Department in Albion. The library has some and wants more. And the Albion College is going to have some at their nature center too. Basically, when you visit the center, this is a picture. You have a car. You pull in. We have cones to make one path of traffic through the center to make it safe for everyone that is visiting. You pull in. You look for our staff person who will stop you at one of our tables. And this is on Saturday when it was very blustery out. And we greet you. And then we start to unload your car. So you basically get to stay in your car and just pop the trunk, or we'll open the doors and then take your items out. So here we are unloading that car. All of the staff and volunteers will be wearing safety vests. That helps keep us safe, but also helps identify who the work crew is, so you don't have any second guesses about whether it's just somebody unloading their stuff or a worker. And we do suggest that you bring your items in cardboard boxes. It makes it a little bit easier, but it's always good to use reusable containers too. And so this woman brought her recycling in those reusable grocery store bags. And so we can empty those out on our cart or into a box. People that bring the large plastic bins, we generally run those into the trailer and either dump them into another box, or quickly, if it's something that can easily be sorted into our collection boxes, then we sort it out very quickly and get it back out to you. My boss timed us on Wednesday, and it basically, the longest wait before you interacted with one of the staff was 2 minutes, and the longest wait for somebody returning to their container to them was 10 minutes, and that was someone that really had mixed up their recycling, and so it took us a bit to get their containers back. So all the stuff goes on the cart, and then we were handing out the flyers and calendars that have our other collection events, and recycled denim pencils and recycling posters to everyone. And then the items get pushed back to the end of the semi-truck and unloaded off the cart up into the semi-truck. And then the semi-truck is full of these large boxes. They're called Gaylord boxes, and they're all labeled for specific items. And based on what you bring, we go through and drop it into the right container. And so if you bring us like a bag full of things, we do have to go through, we look at every item and put it in the right container. With the plastic bottles, they all have a little triangle at the bottom. It has a number in the center of the triangle. And so we just look at that, and that determines which of, there's 4 boxes that we can put it into. I'm going through some newspaper there. One thing that kind of helps speed it up is if, with your, especially the paper, to try to keep that separate. One thing we did notice is that people mixed a lot of their paper, so it'd be like newspaper, catalog, mail, office paper, all mixed together. And so that meant that I had to go through like every sheet at a time. So if you can just kind of group it all together, all your mail together, all your newspaper together, all your catalogs and magazines together, that does speed up the process. And then we take cardboard, so we break down the cardboard so it fits into our container better. This is one of our solid waste advisory committee members. Yes, your father-in-law. And then, and this is my boss's wife, Angie Mikowski, helping out on Saturday in the blowing cold. So when we get the cart empty, then the cart comes back up to get more items. We are very thankful that Albion is letting us use the garage across the street. We need it to store our supplies. So we have the extra cardboard boxes that we use, the pallets that they sit on. In the back, there's some very large white bags that we'll be using as our second layer of recycling inside the semi-truck. So the first layer is the cardboard boxes, and then on top of that, we stack those white bags. And that mess on the floor is cornstarch, because those bags were used to ship cornstarch. And we all ended up looking like we rolled in the snow when we opened them up. But we also, inside the barn, have 2 bins set up for styrofoam. So you can take that to us when we're open. We take, food containers, so cups, takeout clamshells, egg cartons, and then also the material that, like TVs, coffee makers, get packaged in. That can come to us too. Another item that we added, and I believe this may be the only bin in Calhoun County, is that we're collecting vinyl siding. So if you know anybody who is fixing some siding, getting rid of a shed or something like that, all vinyl siding can come to us, and there's no charge for it. And we just unload it and put it in the bin. I was going to go through some pictures of what we take. So we have tin cans, and our broker really would like to have the labels removed from the cans. It's contaminant, the paper is. And so we just ask, if people can please take the labels off. It makes it a little bit faster for us to go through all the recycling that way. We take aluminum cans too. And so the difference with the aluminum is that's going to be a lot of your cat food cans and the small little dog food cans, and then also like some of your canned meat, like canned chicken, canned tuna. And then you have some of your V8 cans would go in there too. And like Arizona tea cans. This is our, the plastic with the number 1 on it, the PET plastic that gets turned into carpeting and fleece. And so these are just mostly water bottles, but some like orange juice containers. We also take milk jugs, which is a number 2. This one they consider it natural. It's not a dyed plastic, and this one has a good value on the market because it can be turned into other number 2 items that do have dye, like your laundry detergent bottles, coffee cans. So this is the number 2 plastic that is dyed. So you get we've seen a lot of medication bottles come in, and then a few laundry detergents. And then we have another bin it's mixed plastic, and so it's the number 1s that are your like berry containers. If you get strawberries or blackberries, blueberries, there's the deli and bakery containers that are number 1 that are black and clear. The lids, because it also is number 2, number 3, number 5, number 6, and number 7 plastics all mixed together. And this is a mix of plastic that typically goes overseas to people that use recycled content to make other items like hangers. And in here, it's our glass. And so right now, we're only able to take clear, undyed glass. So not any green and not any brown and not any blue glass. This is our bin. It's a little bit of a mixture. It's cardboard and box board mainly, but this is also where we have to put our paper bags and get the paper bags dropped off. Another mix that we have for paper is the office paper that also includes your mail and envelopes, and let's see, it had something else, notebook paper too. Then we have our catalog and magazine mix, and then our last mix of paper would be our newspaper and the inserts from newspaper. And then I also wanted to thank the city of Albion for showing up on Saturday and plowing us out. That we did have quite a bit of snow, and it helped quite a bit to get that moved out of the way. And then they plowed in front of the little garage so we can get our fork jack in and out and our stairs in and out easier too. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
I know you mentioned that with, any new thing, people there are going to be some people who have complaints. I know I heard probably 2 different people or households reached out and mentioned something about that. Like, what could we do? Because I know there's been information in the paper, in some of the other communities. What have you done to kind of familiarize residents with what you're doing? Because I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, but the people who mentioned that to me were concerned about just the reduction in days. And I think as it goes along, I think it's going to work. But what can we do to reach out to people? Yeah.
Well, we do have the hours on our website, the Sutherland County Recycling. It's on, we put the information on our Facebook too. And then we've put the flyers out, we've released the press releases.
Okay.
We're going to be going out and meeting with some more of getting into like the service clubs and the college and doing presentations, trying to get more people to volunteer. And we'll be getting a lot of media at the opening. 2 tomorrow, that'll be into more of the newspapers hopefully too. I think it's just going to be something where it's going to have to grow and spread.
Okay.
But one thing that I will say that although we have seen some bags that have been kind of more garbage come in, it hasn't been anything like those pictures that were sent to us by Granger when there was lots and lots and lots of bags of garbage. And a lot of people have made a major effort in trying to remove labels and separate things. And, so overall, I feel like it's been really well received by the community. It's a transition, and Charlotte has operated like that for several years. And that, once they got going, they even considered the possibility of it being open more hours, and everybody's been happy with it just being open 2 days. But like I said, as we go, there's always the option for expanding hours, as this moves on, and if it's successful and if we continue on this way, then I would not limit it to what it is right now. But this is a starting point for us.
Thank you.
If someone was interested in volunteering to help, who would they contact, or where would they contact?
They can contact our office. We also have the volunteer packets at the recycling center. And I know Cheryl has had the city hall fax me over some filled out volunteer applications too. And we have them in Battle Creek, and they're also on our website as well, that they can be printed off.
Thank you.
We'd love to get the college involved, and they did put it on their website of their different volunteer activities.
What would happen if somebody brought you a bag of shredded, like running papers through a shredder?
Yep, if it's office paper, then it goes into, we've had quite a bit, we just dumped it right into the office paper.
So it's okay to do that?
It is completely fine.
Now, is Marshall in on this program?
Marshall will be transitioning into something like this.
Okay, do they run their operation 24/7? They're open unmanned?
Right now, it's like your old style of recycling, and so it is 24/7, although you can't always drive up to it. It is kind of locked off from the public on the weekend, where you can just go through a walk-through gate. But the county administration plans on phasing that out this year and moving into a larger scale version of this for the future.
Thank you. Maurice?
Young man, you had a question.
Obviously, you're in touch with the college and put that on the website. Have you gotten in touch with the student government program there?
I don't know. I know what you came and interviewed us at the site on Wednesday. So I'm not sure exactly who all you connected with after you interviewed us.
Well, I know that there's actually already applications to volunteer at campus that are available in grant inside their location on campus. And I also got with staff responsibilities to their research about peer work and that their recycling centers.
Yes, and we want to get some meetings set up with the college where the recycling aid and I can sit down and just us directly talk to the college. Any other questions?
Well, you mentioned the ribbon cutting, and that's tomorrow at 11, and it's open to everyone?
Yes, so we will have the ribbon cutting tomorrow, and we'll have Kelly Scott from the county will be there, and Cheryl and Joe Domingo will be there, and then also the BEQ's recycling specialist for this region of Michigan, Katie Vinacek, will be there to give a little talk to everyone about how this recycling center fits into the governor's initiative to double the recycling rate in Michigan within 2 years.
I have asked for it to be 70 degrees tomorrow and sunny, so dress appropriate.
Yes. Yeah, and I did talk with Cheryl and asked that if the weather was really, really bad, or if it was too cold for the press to do adequate interviews with the staff and the county and city officials, that we could move it into the training room at the fire station, just so we're not all miserable standing out there.
Oh, no, we all have to be miserable.
We all have to be miserable. Well, we rotate in and out when we're out there for long term, and in and out of the trailer, get in and out of the break room, and make sure that we get our hand warmers and layers on to stay warm.
Great.
Sure.
But we don't really anticipate closing it due to bad weather unless it was some event that the county actually shut down operations, but generally that rarely ever happens, so. We will be here, rain, shine, snow, wind, we'll be operating the recycling center.
Sounds good.
All right?
Thank you very much. Dominic Silva? Okay, I'll take your word for it. This is the WOW guy from cable. He is here to accept all the punishment you can throw at him.
Good evening, how's everybody doing? My name's Dominic Silvio. I am the new system manager here in Mid-Michigan for WOW Internet Cable and Telephone. I wanted to thank Cheryl for reaching out to me, and it's a pleasure being here. I look forward to working with all of you. A little bit about me. I've been with WOW for 12 years now. My previous position was over in Southeast Michigan. I was the installation repair manager over the whole Southeast region. And I'm currently transitioning over to the system manager role here in Mid-Michigan. So I've been here about 2 weeks now. And prior to that, I'm a 12-year veteran of the United States Army. And I just have a couple updates. I don't have a fancy presentation. But I am here to field questions as well. And I already wrote your concerns down. First off, our Charlotte office has moved. I know that there was a letter sent to all of the franchises letting everyone know that we moved probably 6 miles down the road from Charlotte now into Potterville. And if you wanted that address, you can reach out to me. I'm sure Cheryl has it as well. And as far as the updates, we did a current huge company migration over the last month. And what this has allowed us to do is increase our speeds. So our current, and this is company-wide, our previous 2 meg internet package, speed package, that was the minimal speed. That has now been increased to 4 meg for a minimum speed. And many of your residents may have already seen that. It was an increase. So if they were receiving 2 meg, they should automatically be receiving 4 on that. We are offering that going forward as well as with a new package. And come March, we will be offering a 30 meg package for our residents as well. So that is also good news. And FYI, if any of your residents have brought up concerns about cables, drops laying on the ground due to the winter when they were installed, let them know, reassure them that as soon as the ground thaws and we're able to get out there and get those buried, we will. Just ask them to be safe out there. And the majority of them should be already flagged for safety reasons. If they're not, please give us a call and we'll come out and take care of that. But again, let them know that in the spring we will be out there. There's a whole list, and we have those taken care of probably end of March. I had talked with Cheryl earlier tonight about the payment pickup centers, the locations. Something I will take a look at, both Cheryls in the corner, but it's something that I will look at. We have a mandatory pickup for all locations. As I said, we have 16 payment pickup centers across all of our region here, just because we're so widespread out, and that happens every Thursday. If for some reason that payments aren't being picked up or processed on time, it's something that we can absolutely look at. Maybe we pick up 2-3 days a week if available. So, but it is a concern I've written down, and I'll bring back and see what we can do about that. And as far as any other outstanding issues from the city of Albion, there are none currently pending. So I'll leave it open for questions.
Yes, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Why did you take your last CBS station out of the area that works in Calhoun County? Was that whose choice, or how did it come about?
That's something I'm gonna have to go back and look at. There were changes. I wasn't aware that Albion was a part of that. There were some cities that were impacted, and if you're telling me Albion was, and it was not a choice of WOWs. It was a DMA, a designated market area change that we have to be consistent with. And basically what that means is if you're in a certain designated market area, then you should be receiving the broadcast for that specific area. So we're following suit at this time. Again, I wasn't aware that Albion was a part of that, but if they are, your channel 6 may change. It won't go, it will go away, but it will be replaced by another channel, another local area. So for example, some cities switched from the Greater Lansing programming on 2 channels to Detroit programming, just because of the DMA and where they reside. But I will have to look at Albion and see where that is.
I would really recommend that you did, because all our parents, most all the parents head on that for school closings. And of course, all the residents for Calhoun County like basic weather instead
Sure.
of the west coast, or about Lake Michigan. They can keep that. I want to know what we're doing. And
Yeah,
see your price increase, but that taking that something away and maybe putting something back there we don't really can work with.
And I'll take a look at it for Albion. Unfortunately, it's a process that we can't change. We don't have the power to change that. And we've heard it on both sides, where I'm receiving Detroit news currently on this channel, and now I'm changing to Lansing. I work in Detroit. I still want that. And then there are other areas that say I'm switching to from Detroit to this area. I'd rather keep Lansing. So it works both sides.
So we probably would like to be able to pick and choose, but we know we can't do that because
Yeah.
Disney channels and such doesn't really appeal to me and a lot of the other folks who don't have children around.
Sure.
That's there. That's that.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I will look into where Albion is in relation to the DMA and if there's any changes.
Garrett?
So I have three questions, but they're gonna be very quick, actually. So one is price increases. So I know that you know, we've had, in Albion, we've had, what's it, Millennium, Broad Stripe, WOW, so you've had this progression of providers. And I know that maybe like a year or two ago, there was the switch to digital signal, so people had to buy the little boxes, and that added additional costs for those. And there's been price increases. So can you give a sense of how you all determine price increases? What's causing that? Because one of the, and this ties into the next question, which is, do you, I'm sure you service other markets in Michigan, correct?
Yes.
So like in Lansing, do you service some of the larger cities as well?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tied into the price increase thing is, can you detail, because I know people are watching, like in Michigan, So, we only have one cable provider. If you go to Lansing or another community, there's probably Comcast, there's probably AT&T, other ones like that, Charter, or whatever. So can you explain what's accounting for, or what's causing you all to have to raise prices, and then how you all fit within, like how you kind of ended up with an Albion, and how that figures with, there's no competition here, so how that figures with that.
The main driver for rate increases is programming costs.
Okay.
They go up every year from the broadcasters. And actually, if you go to our website, Huawei.com, there's a whole page that explains rate increases as well as the programming costs themselves.
Okay.
A lot of information on that webpage for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my third question was in terms of, let's say, like channel options, like Councilmember Wheaton was mentioning. If
Sure.
the way you all tier it, it's like if there's basic or regular, it's like usually you kind of have there's a kind of a slope where it's proportionally going up. But if you look at what WOW has done, it seems like some of the like I said, the lower tier packages have a significantly less amount of channels than the premium. So it's like, if you go to that, it's like, you either get nothing and pay less, or you have to pay top dollar to get some of the other things. So like, and I'm just saying that these are concerns that other people have had, and especially about the price increases, the issue with losing stations, because I think there are actually two Lansing stations, I think.
Okay.
But we don't get one already, right? Yeah. So what you're saying, we would lose the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be a big issue.
Yeah, that's something that I look into. I'm not sure if that is in regards to the DMA change, but I will look into that. And as far as the package tiers for the digital, we do offer the premium channels as well, a la carte. So you don't, it's not an all or nothing. It's a limited basic, then you have your basic, your signature, and then you can also add packages on top of that, Stars, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime. Those can all be added separate, so.
Another question?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'll give you a compliment for your employees, your service people. They've been to my house and just about totally rewired it. So courtesy and so clean and so pick up after themselves. A very good crew.
Thank you.
I've not been the same one each time, but they've been very well. Now, can you enlighten me as to why my TV is fluttering so much and breaking up?
Without actually being in the home and taking a look at it, I couldn't tell you.
You have seen that?
There could be a number of reasons why that happens, though.
That's why I have so much new cable in my home.
It depends on which channels it's happening to, what time of the day it's happening. I mean, there are a lot of variables that go into a flickering or a channel that flashes on your television. The best suggestion I have is to contact WOW and have us come out there and take a look at it. If it's still not right, we need to go back out there and take a look at it.
Thank you.
How would anybody know if you went from the 2 meg to the 4? How would they know that?
It actually will change on the itemized portion of their WOW bill, where they'll see it there. It'll say from 2 to 4, but their bill won't change. It'll just show it different as an itemized.
That's something they should be looking for?
They don't have to. It doesn't impact them at all. They'll see it in their speeds, but it's nothing that they need to be aware of to seek out.
Okay.
No. Because how many people do actually have the 2 meg service? We offer the 8 meg and the 15 meg. So with the number of people that have 2 that have been automatically changed to 4, it's pretty much irrelevant.
Is there a number that they can call when they're having problems with their bills, or?
Absolutely. 866-4 number 4, wow now. I believe it's 496-9669.
Now, is that a 24-hour line
Yes, sir, that's customer service.
with a human or a voice?
There'll be an IVR initially, but it switches over to an operator, customer service representative.
Is there a, I've had people call me and say that they have tried several times and they don't get any response or anything else, and that's the only number that they can, call. What do they do? I mean, if they're not getting, the answers or anybody, to fix their problem or answer their problems.
And that's kind of what I was tying into, is like, and I know we have time for a detailed explanation, but like, the state regulates different things. So in terms of how the state regulates, cable television, what recourse do citizens have? Because like, for instance, if you go to Detroit, there's, was it Detroit Edison? DTE.
Right. Sure.
Right? There's Consumers Energy here,
yeah.
Lansing, Board of Water and Light, right? So those are very highly regulated. But when it comes to this, so WOW's here now, but like I said, in other communities, there's more competition, and it might reflect in prices, I don't know. But following what the mayor's saying, like, where do we go, or where does a resident go if they're not receiving the answers that they need?
If they're not receiving answers at the customer service number, which I haven't heard of, I mean, WOW is known for our customer service and the relationship that, when customers call in to that 866 number, the treatment and the respect and the care that they receive is second to none. But if they still don't have the same answers, I would have them bring them up to yourselves, constituents, to bring them to Cheryl, and she can contact me directly. Most of the time, if there's a problem that they have and they don't receive the answers on the telephone, then that will be an escalated call to a supervisor or manager at the call center, and it will be a separate email sent to the local management team to address. And we've seen those as well. So.
Well, a lot of the customers that are calling me are having problems with their payments.
Sure.
That they take them out to Family Fair and they're not picked up, or they are picked up, or they don't go through. And by the time they do go through, these people have got a shut-off notice. They get shut off, then they have to do a reinstatement to pay for that. Someplace along the line, if they pay by check and it says they paid on this date and it's stamped, why should they be charged for somebody else's mistake?
Well, I don't know if it's a mistake as much as timing, because as I said earlier, we mandatory get out there every Thursday. We try and get out there twice a week to pick up those payments, but we have 16 payment locations across the whole mid-Michigan area. And it's on a schedule. That's why we ask customers to go on our website and go to the online bill pay. That's the easiest for everybody and the most convenient. But I will try to address the pickup in Albion, absolutely.
Is there a senior rate? Is there a discount for anybody that's over?
Yes.
I can't answer that, I'm not sure.
There is?
Call center would be able to.
Bill's
answer
saying
that.
yes, he's our senior councilman, so.
Is that a thumbs up?
Oh,
Okay.
it's been entertaining.
Oh, give me strength.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dominic,
Okay.
for your patience.
Next two items I would like to have removed from the agenda. The Albion Community School Choir and Amy Deschamps with the Festival of the Forks.
They're not here, or we're just running out of time.
I'm sorry?
They're not here. Or,
No, I want them removed from the agenda, even whether, because they're not here.
oh, they're not here. Right, okay.
So can I have a motion to
So,
remove those?
support.
Okay. C and D have been removed. All in favor, do I have to have a roll call?
Probably roll call.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, the same. Thank you. And we'll move right on down to citizens' comments. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to agenda items only and to no more than 5 minutes. Proper protocol and decorum is required. Are there any citizens' comments on the agenda this evening? Your name and address, please?
Alfreda Dysart Drake, 1016 South Superior Street, and I am a WOW customer, and I've lived in this community, a long time, and I've gone through all the different cable companies that have been here, and I guess my concern basically, and I know some questions have already been asked that were some questions for my interest, but I really do have a problem with the pricing because I know I called recently, and my bill had gone up, and I didn't realize why. And so I called, and they said, we raised your bill back in November. Well, I didn't even know that. So I had a long conversation, but finally I had to eliminate some channels to even get my bill back down to a reasonable rate, because my actual cable bill is larger than my phone, internet, Wi-Fi, all that together. And I know that we live in a capitalistic society, we're trying to make money, but I don't want to be robbed. And any given day, I can go and turn my television on. I don't know what station I will or will not have. And that's the issue for me because if you got certain stations you're watching and the next thing you know, you come and that station's gone, you're thinking, okay, where did it go? What happened to it? And I guess that's the issue I have. And I know they've done all this upgrading and updating and digital and what have you, but I've had more problems since that's been done than I did prior to when that happened. And I'm like Councilman Wheaton. Even this morning, turning to my station, I was watching something, all of a sudden it freezes. Then you got to turn it to another station. It's frozen. You got to just sit and wait until it decides to fix itself or whatever happens. And I have something weekly, and I am not exaggerating, that happens with my cable. It's either you turn to a station, you have a visual, there's no audio, or again, there's the freezing, and sometimes I've turned and there's even nothing on the station. So I guess if I'm going to have to contend with the high cost of cable, I want my services to be where they need to be. Because if I don't pay my bill, I will get notified. So, and even when, I'm the kind of customer that when there's no power, electricity goes out, or there was one night I woke up and I'd gone to bed early and I woke up and my cable was out. And it was out until way into the next day. So unless you call and actually say, look, I had no service, I would like to be compensated for this time I didn't have service, they won't automatically do that. So I've made it a habit that every time that happens, I call to say, look, I had no service. If I don't have any service, I'm not paying. I want to be, reimbursed for not, having, and they've done, we'll have to say they have done that. And someone else mentioned about the pay stations, and I didn't know this until it happened to me. I paid a bill locally down to the train station at, is it Maurer Agency? I go down there and pay my bill. And so I paid it, and my assumption is that once I paid it, they said, well, within the next few hours or so, they'll know that you've paid it. Well, I didn't know that. The next thing I know, I get a cable that's been cut off. I get charged $22 and didn't even know this was going on. And so I had, again, to call and have a long conversation about that situation. So that's, I'll pay for the service I get, but I don't want to get a service that's not working well and I'm steadily getting a cost increase. That's an issue for me. I don't want to be robbed like that. And so I'm finally glad that I can see a face and I got a name and a number that I can call because I need that. Because I'm just not pleased with the service, and I really wish, I know that we're a small community, we're not a Lansing, we're not a Detroit, we're not a Grand Rapids, but because we're small does not mean we should not have choices. And I believe we should have the opportunity to have other choices besides WOW Cable Company here in Albion. I don't know all, I'm a novice, so I don't know all the regulations and all those kind of things like that, but I really believe we deserve to have some type of opportunity to choose who we want as our cable provider. Thank you.
Thank you.
To comment, with the rate increase, it was put on people's bills out and they adjust because you had issues with the service. Did they send a technician out to take a look at it? Have you asked
Well,
for that?
I'll tell you this, it happened a number of months ago, and they sent someone out, but I still keep having the same problem, and I'm not exaggerating when I say weekly, I have issues with the cable, weekly, I really do.
Do you mind if I get your information and we
I have
can,
no problem.
we can go
Sure.
and I can send someone out to take a look at it?
No problem.
Are we having a meeting or what?
Hi, Karen Egan, 601 East Broadwell. My comments are to WOW also. Sir, everything you said, I have not experienced that at all. I've not experienced good phone service. I've paid at Falpage. 2 weeks it took for them to get my check. That's too long. 2 weeks is too long. I got charged a cutoff fee, a reactivation fee, I believe. Again, it's a pay center, I mean, I don't know why it's not credited at least the next day. You're right, the best way to pay is online, and it just seems to me that you probably should have Valposh Family Fare if, you're not gonna credit them in a timely manner. When it brings about, you know, a late fee or a reactivation fee, like she said, we're already paying outrageous fees, and then I downgraded to try to save money, and I'm constantly getting hit with reactivation fees or disconnect fees. And one time I left $10 on my bill by accident, and $12 on my bill another time, late fee. Because I left $10 on my bill, it's not even 30 days late, and I'm getting charged a fee. I just think the phone service, the phone customer service is not good. I mean, perhaps you think it is. If you call that number, you'll find out something different. And this is from everybody I've talked to. I know everybody pretty much I know is having problems. So, like she said too, it always freezes. Freezes all the time. And the rates are too high. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
That might be a miscommunication as well, or misunderstanding with, they're called centers.
It never used to be like that. I mean, I never had a 2-week
To the mic.
delay in payment. I'll pay online, that's fine. But I know people that can't do that, and they have to pay cash. And now what are they gonna do? If they go out to family fare, pay their bill, and then
That's the guy's.
who knows when it's gonna get credited?
As I told the mayor, I'll look at that,
Okay,
see if there's something we can do.
all right.
Joe.
That's all. Okay, anyone else? Thank you. Consent calendar. Approval of regular session minutes for February 2nd and approval for special council session minutes for February 2nd.
Move.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions on either? If not, voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. It is passed. Items for individual discussion. Board and commission appointments and reappointments. Greg Strand, initial appointment, Planning Commission, term to expire 12/31 of
So moved.
17.
Oh, so moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Is that gonna be a roll call? Voice vote, isn't it?
Roll.
Voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Greg Strand is in the audience. Please stand, sir. Works for Albion College. He'll now be at his first planning meeting tomorrow night, 7. Thank you and welcome aboard. Request for approval of resolution 2015-07, create a Citizens Advisory Committee for Parks and Recreation.
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions? Yes, Andy?
So, did we or did we not have some form of advisory committee prior to?
Not for Parks and Recreation.
Not
I
for
think
Parks
that was
and
the
Rec.
computer.
There was one for sustainability and then one for IT.
Right.
Right, those are the only
And this is in
two.
lieu of a director or just to have one?
No, there's two master planning processes that are about to be undertaken. One is the comprehensive that'll be handled by the City Planning Commission. And then the other component is the recreation, Parks and Recreation master plan. So I thought it would be helpful to use that same formula of having a Citizens Advisory Committee to offer assistance and insight relative to the recreation portion.
Excellent, excellent, thank you.
Okay. And there, I don't know if everybody got the same that I got. There's 10 different organizations that we could draw from, and it's an 11-person committee. So if one for each of those, except for the council, we can have 2, that would make 11. So anybody that's interested in sitting on this committee, we need you to fill out an application at the clerk's office as soon as possible so that we can get this organization here put together and approved. Was there a question?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. And like I said, it's 11-person board, and the sooner we get these individuals with their applications in, the sooner we can get this moving, because this Parks and Recreation has to be done this year. So it's very important. So if you're interested, please stop and see the clerk at City Hall and fill out an application for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Did we vote on that?
So moved. We already did that.
No, it's already been moved.
Oh,
We
right,
got a
I'm
roll
sorry.
call
I
vote,
thought you
please?
said
Roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you. C, request for approval of resolution 2015-08. Approval of the Albion Public Safety Department to participate in the Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Division.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Question?
What is this?
Yeah, yeah.
MABUS is a regional mutual aid system. Currently, we have mutual aid agreements with local agencies like Albion Township, Sheridan Township, Homer, where they can provide us assistance with structure fires and so forth. But in instance of a disaster where we need special services from some other departments, we don't have those mutual aid systems in place. MABUS, by becoming a member of MABUS, there is a one standard mutual aid agreement that all these agencies sign. We provide cards to the regional area, which in turn, when somebody requests something, they know what we can provide. Usually it'll be 4 people in a truck, depending on what they need. It might be the ladder truck, it might be an engine, it might just be 4 people going, depending on exactly what the emergency is, where it is. Currently, there are 4 states that are members of MABUS, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Iowa, Missouri, and Ohio also participate with it, but aren't actual members of MABUS. It's basically allowing us to get those things that we need here in Albion if there is a disaster of some sort that we can't handle with the local area departments.
Okay, thank you.
Well, as I was reading through this, I noticed Albion, Marshall, Battle Creek, Homer Township, Penfield, and Emmett were a few. I did not notice Sheridan, Albion Township.
Right.
I didn't notice Huron Valley, our ambulance service.
Right. Most of the city agencies or full-time agencies are the ones that are participating in that. The volunteer or paid-on-call fire agencies don't really have the resources usually to send people out of the local area for assistance.
And then on top of that, I don't believe anybody but Albion is the only public safety one.
Emmett Township is also public safety.
Okay, so that means if we lose 5 people to fire, we've lost 5 cops.
Right.
Mm-hmm. For natural disasters?
If we have our own emergency here, we do not have to participate.
That's right.
But in any other situation, we'd be expected to participate.
What, and how far would that distance be?
Depends on what the disaster is and how many people they need. But that's the same thing as bringing people here in that type of an emergency. If we don't have these agreements, it takes a declaration of an emergency through the county and through the states. Like we had with the windstorm, we didn't get that declaration, but with this, I could get those resources here if we needed them.
And then as I was reading through here, there was no cost to the city. And then as I read further, all participating agencies shall be responsible for obtaining and maintaining all licenses, permits, certificates, yada, yada, yada. How many of those people do we have that are trained and qualified under these standards?
Well, that's our firefighter 1 and 2 personnel, which is every single one of our officers.
They are all hazmat?
No. That's part of the reason that we need these services, so we can get those people that are the
And
full
we have to
hazmat
pay for
certified
those.
here. No, we only have to pay for the certifications that we have, that we respond and say we can respond for. Not for the certifications that are coming to help us. We're only responsible for our own certifications.
So
Responding personnel
Right.
shall meet the following minimum requirements.
Okay.
So we're only gonna show up for fire?
For whatever, we let them know what services we have that we can provide. That's why we provide the cards. Those cards are put together by the regional coordinator, and then when a MABUS activation is requested, those cards are pulled out for what those agencies can provide.
So we would never be asked to provide hazmat services because we're not certified in hazmat.
Right.
So,
There's only one agency in Calhoun County that's certified in hazmat this time that I'm aware of, and that's Battle Creek City.
one question. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. So what counts as an emergency here that would, like, so if we have a fire here?
I could call MABUS for anything that we
No,
have.
no, I'm saying like if something else is going on, like if we have a fire here.
Right, yes, that would
Right.
count as an emergency
Okay,
here for
okay.
us. Right. We're in the process of handling our own
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
And we don't have to be a member in order to use it. According to this.
But there's no requirement to send any aid to any agency that doesn't have the membership agreement.
Okay.
Chief? Excuse me, do you or any of your officers have a hazmat training?
We have hazmat operations training, which is the basic hazmat training that's required for firefighter 2.
Basic?
Yes.
So I guess it just,
Yes.
so I guess it just boils down to, are there any cost involved? Right?
The only cost would be the
Yeah.
cost that we pay our people and for the equipment that we send.
Okay.
If we ask for help here, there is no cost to us for any of that help that comes here to help us.
Yes, sure.
One of my concerns always, Scott, as you know, because we've talked about it, is the fact that we have, that the railroad runs right through the center of town. And Scott and I have had this discussion before. As we've seen recently, unfortunately, railroad accidents do happen. And I would hate to think that if we had something like that, that we wouldn't get the kind of response we need. But in order to get that kind of response, I think it's only fair that we also provide that to someone else who's in need.
Right.
So I'm all for this.
One last question. So with the, how do you say that? With the, so the level of emergency, so that's determined by that participating?
It is determined by the incident commander.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
They request resources through MABUS, and those resources are provided based on what support those agencies said they could provide.
Okay. So basically, so if a fire is an emergency, then if it was a major, like if the Kellogg plant exploded or something, you know, okay. And so the other question I had is, do you have any numbers about like how often it's all been, that's been activated?
Most of I don't have those numbers, but most of the MABUS activations happen within the region that the MABUS, the local region for MABUS, which would for us be Calhoun County.
Okay.
So our activations would be getting help from Battle Creek, Emmett Township, those type of things. The likelihood of our department being called outside of Calhoun County or outside of surrounding county is highly unlikely. Because most of the time they're gonna draw on big city departments to do that because they have better resources than we do.
More equipment.
Have you
Yes.
talked to the officers? What do they think about it?
The officers are the ones that brought this to me and initiated that, so they're all for that.
And the union contract wouldn't have,
Pardon?
the union contract wouldn't have any bearing on this?
No.
Yes, Maurice?
For the, Chief, question. For the, for the protection of human life in the city of Albion and the surrounding area, do you see this as a necessary requirement for us to have?
Absolutely. It's going to provide us with services that we couldn't get as faster than we normally would get them. So,
thank you, sir.
Yes, Andy?
Thank you. I also see this as an opportunity, once again, to sort of expand our reach. The city of Albion has spent a lot of time sort of shrinking and looking inward and not sort of being part of a larger constituency. This allows us to be part of a larger South Central, Southwestern Michigan constituency, and that kind of thing is useful to us. I think that I echo what Councilman Kraus said. The idea of a train, when we think about the possibilities of sort of significant disasters that could happen to us, the train is an obvious choice. We're going to have a Brembo plant that's going to go in. That's a foundry that's going to go in. You could have you can imagine all kinds of difficulty there. So I think that any sort of agreement that allows us to get aid at no cost to us, I think is a win. Thank you.
this really is a standardized statewide mutual aid agreement.
And like I said, it's fine, I'm not arguing that point, I just want you to remember, we are both police and fire. When you pull 5 or 8 people out of here, you've just pulled 5 police and 5 fire. And out of a department of 19, you better hope the other 8 or 9 can cover. I don't mind helping anybody, don't get that wrong, I don't mind that. But you don't send all your troops, you know, to one battle and leave yourself unprotected.
Well, that's why the standard...
And that's the only thing I haven't heard, that if we do that, who's coming in?
The standard response for this is gonna be 4 people in a truck. I don't know that we'd be sending any more than that for any reason. And the idea of MABUS is that you're not drawing all the resources of one agency to go help like we do currently, such as we get a fire in Sheridan Township or Albion Township and we respond mutual aid for them. We take everybody from the agency, and the agency's left being, or the city's left being covered by the Sheriff's Department and the State Police until we return. With MABUS, the idea is that you draw a small amount from several agencies instead of a large amount from one agency. And so that's the whole point of MABUS, of getting more agencies involved and less people from each agency. Because every agency is having the same problems that we are. Even the larger cities, they're required to do more with less, and they just don't have the manpower to leave their cities empty as well.
Yep, and I fully understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. It just, like I said, if we had a disaster, we would love all them people to come here and help us as much as we would them. I just want everybody to understand that, you know, when we pull resources like that, we put ourselves out there, you know, at liability as well. So.
Well, and the other hope for this too is for a limited response as well, where if it was a longer disaster, it's going to take several days or something like that, we would go for 12 hours, then another MABUS agency would come in for another 12 hours, where we wouldn't be gone for the 4 or 5 days because we were the only agency responding.
Well, according to this, your first one could be up to 8 hours. Anything after that could be up to 72 hours.
It's hard to say. I mean, you can't depend on the situation, right?
I guess the only thing that I didn't read in there was no help at all from our military resources that we have. I don't see anything.
Right, but all those come from state declarations of emergencies, where this can take place before that declaration happens. I don't have to wait for the county to declare an emergency, for the state to declare an emergency. I can request a MABUS response on my own with no emergency declared by anybody. So.
All right.
So,
yes,
so and just to clarify that, it's in public. So, what's the cutoff time? Like you know, the thing that came to mind was when they had the tornadoes. Was that in Emmett?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Emmett and Battle Creek area.
So what, let's say that happened tomorrow or something, or maybe not tomorrow, but in the spring or something. So, and we go over, there'd be shifts, but is there like a time when, does it end?
It really depends on what the response is and where they get the response from. Being part of MABUS, it's a larger group, so we can get help from further away, which means our people have to be there a less amount of time. If we didn't have this MABUS agreement and we had this emergency in the county, more than likely county departments are going to agree to help and assist other county departments, but we're not going to get that help from Kalamazoo, Jackson, Eaton County. Where with MABUS, we're going to get that response, or Lansing City, or wherever else close by that has MABUS response. But again, most of this is going to be localized into our area for a MABUS response, and it gives us mutual aid agreements with those other bigger agencies within the county that we don't currently have.
Any further questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes. Thank you. D, request for approval of resolution 2015-09, approval of contract with Abram and Godfrey, PC for fiscal year 2014 auditing services.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions, Garrett?
I know we had talked about potentially doing a different firm. I know that I mentioned, I had heard that. Is that something you want to say for a future date, or?
Right, well, to speak specifically to this one, although they had originally proposed a 3-year contract, I did want to look at some alternatives on a longer term. So this particular one for the auditing services, they did agree to a 1-year contract. And we had some initial conversations with Plant and Moran in regards to just some practices and making sure that we were, things were aligned in the way they should be in terms of best practices. So that's another item on your agenda today.
So this is our audit
Yes,
people,
for
okay?
last year for 1 year.
All right. No more questions? Roll call vote, please.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
and there's no changes in rates or anything there?
No, they held their rates.
Okay. And I'm sure this was in the budget.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you. E, request for approval of resolution 2015-10, approval contract with Hall and Continued Engineering Consulting Services for the Albion Sheridan Township landfill for activities required in the operations and maintain plan for the monitoring years of 2016 through 2020.
So moved.
That is our landfill, in case out there east of us,
The dead
that will
one,
be doing this for the next,
100 years.
been moved,
Support.
moved and supported. Now, questions?
So this is years 16 to 20 since its close, or
No,
2016?
that's our next 5-year projected
maintenance
maintenance
plan.
agreement,
Right.
that they have to go out and read the wells. and-
Right, no, I get that. I'm just, what you read was years 2016 through 2020, and what I'm reading is years 16 through 20.
was a cutoff.
So I'm just trying to figure out because this didn't close in 2000, it closed before that, didn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
So that's what I'm
my
trying to.
bad.
Well, I just want,
It's the
Just wanted-
beginning of the 16th year of monitoring.
right,
Okay,
Right.
right,
And it's split with Decker Manufacturing.
correct.
right,
So
right.
our half is like 52,000 for the next 5 years, am I correct?
Yes.
When is the end in sight?
Say again?
When is the end in sight?
Probably
does it-
never.
Okay.
I don't even know if they projected an end. I know we talked about it earlier this year, that we might have to raise the money that we have been saving in case the wells or something
Right, I
has to be
remember-
added. I
right,
know we
that's-
wanted to.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was ever closed out, like Union Steel, I think, had a 30-year wait on it. I'm
Right.
not sure about the landfill.
Okay.
What that went to,
Okay.
until they test it and tell us it's okay.
Yeah.
And if they're in charge of it, what's that tell you?
Yeah,
So-
we'll say no to 52 grand.
But I think that our cost is, right now, is a little over 10,000 a year.
Yes, and it looks like in the write-up, it says it's a 30-year operation and maintenance plan, so this
10
is
more
year
years.
16 through 20 of 30-year plan.
We're halfway
I was
through.
gonna say, yeah, we're at least halfway through.
We should be more, because unless they didn't start monitoring right away, because it closed right after I moved here.
When Bill was mayor,
Yeah. it just went on and on and on, and we just finally said, well, got the city and Decker with it, the rest of them have scouted.
Okay.
And the cost to the city is just under $8,000 a year for the first 4 years, and the 5th year it has the more extensive testing. So for that year, it costs about $18,000.
Okay.
And that's consistent with the previous plans.
And this is all budgeted?
Yes,
Okay.
this year.
Any further questions? None? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
And Mayor Domingo.
Yes. You could vote no all you wanted, we're still stuck with it.
Yeah, right?
Unfortunately.
So,
The next one, I guess, there's no reason to discuss. F. So,
A move that we strike F from the agenda?
yes,
support.
That's a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Or is that a voice
Yeah, it's roll
vote?
call for agenda change.
Yeah, it's roll call for an agenda change, so. Sorry.
Ready? Councilmember Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yeah.
and Mayor Domingo.
yes, thank you. Request for approval, we're going down to G. Request for approval of City of Albion Title VI, non-discrimination plan and, the status of the city's manager as title of the sixth coordinator.
So move.
Support with spelling check, please.
Designation.
The designation of a city manger, I think that's a separation of church and state that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah,
Cheryl, if you would like to,
It's on the agenda.
Manger.
Maybe I'm a manger, I don't know.
It's his manger. I
Manager.
was just kidding.
You're a manager.
This is in regards to, it's really a requirement from the federal and state funding, primarily for MDOT, to make certain that we are meeting the non-discrimination requirements under Title VI. And specifically, they were looking to make certain that information is available and accessible to those who may have English as a second language. So as part of that, we did conduct a survey, an informal survey of our staff to, one, find out if any individuals who work here may have challenges, as well as are they encountering individuals out in the community who may have challenges, so that we are accounting for that information and dealing with it as best we can.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you. H, approval of professional services agreement with Plant Moran.
Support, so moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Questions? Yes, Maurice?
I'm seeing the hourly rates, $95 to $200. I don't have my budget with me. We approved a fund balance in our professional services. What are the projections of how much of these services we may use?
Well, okay, I'm gonna try not to offend Colin, but with accountants and lawyers, sometimes you don't know until you start digging into it, how deep you're going to go.
Especially lawyers.
So I would even suggest putting an upper limit on it initially of 2,500, and if we needed to go beyond that, we could report back to you, just so we could keep some constraints on that agreement.
My last question is, how much did we allocate? I don't have my records with me for our professional services and our budget for this year. But don't worry about it. I get you later.
We would have to look that up.
Don't worry about it.
unless
Okay,
Tom
I got your
knows
back.
off the
I'm
top of his
gonna
head.
support it.
Yes, Andy?
Thank you. We've not worked with Plant Moran in the past?
Years ago, I believe you.
And
Years ago.
who are we using now that we are no longer going to use?
This is actually additional service on top of our auditing services. This is
Okay.
looking more into management practices as
Okay.
well as trying to discern how some numbers were pulled together that don't quite make sense.
Right.
Yes, Garrett?
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know like when we, for a number of years, we get the audit reports and they'd say, oh, there's not a division in a particular, how things are accounted for, like, I forget the term, like deficiencies.
Right.
They would always say that. So this is kind of target towards,
It's even more specific than that.
Oh, okay.
Tom, did
Oh.
you want to comment?
Maurice?
Oh, I met these gentlemen on 3 different occasions at the Michigan Municipal League at some conferences. They, I'm not gonna say, had me, kind of talk to our former city manager about it, but we had some situations where he wasn't here anymore, so they are reputable. They're very big in the league, so I can vouch for them.
Tom?
If I could maybe clarify a little bit on what we're doing here.
Name and
what's
your-
going on. I'm sorry?
Your name and your
Oh, I'm sorry.
position.
Tom Mead, Finance Director. A couple things to think about. Number one, the accounting firms are getting very particular about independence. So if we have our auditors come in, well, you may remember this when, even when we had Casey here from Raymond, if they come in and make advice or suggestions to us, they then are prohibited, or they feel they're prohibited from giving us an independent audit.
Right.
So
Okay.
we retained Abraham and Gaffney like we always have for our annual audit. Plant Moran, we've asked them to look at a few things that doesn't make sense. Those being right now, 2 of the big things we're looking at. One of the issues is with the new, gotta remember what they call it, small business personal property tax reform. One of the big questions or concerns early on was how they were gonna make DDAs and TIFA districts whole. They've come up with their formula, the state did. Our DDA, for example, their revenue went from about 48,000 a year down to 12. The state sent us a check for $9,000. That doesn't seem like they're making us whole. So that's one of the things we've asked Plan Moran to look at. And again, it was a new system that, the state's come up with this new form, and I don't know, there's just a lot of questions on, did the state interpret what we reported correctly? Did we report things correctly? How come we only got 6,000 versus the 30-some that we lost, et cetera? The other issue that may or may not be a big concern is in our TIFA district. When that district was created, anytime one of those districts is created, the day it's created, you're supposed to create or establish a base taxable value. That should never change theoretically. I think we did come to the council, we went to the state and made a change one time because of Harvard shutting down and being, do you have a question?
yeah, I did have one question, because I had thought about that, because I remember there was, not the most recent budget session, the one before that, that the EDC director and a couple of the board members came, and we had a discussion about changing something.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, we never did anything.
You're correct.
Okay.
There was a change, I believe, and this is going back, this is challenging my memory. I think when Harvard shut down and became idle, that created such a negative, because obviously they were by far the biggest industrial business out there. That became such a negative impact on that district, they would never be able to capture because it just was a huge negative. I think back then there was I think we went through the procedures to have Harvard removed. What you recall more recently is now that it's more or less cleaned up, or now that it was the properties, tore down and kind of back to a state where it could be redeveloped. I think you were approached about maybe now putting it back into the district.
Exactly.
And I think that, if I recall correctly, there was a discussion on how that would affect revenue to the city.
Correct.
Versus.
Exactly, because everything, when they capture, they're capturing it from the taxes that every other taxing authority would receive. But out there, besides the Harvard adjustment from way back when, 2003 or 4, whenever it was, we've seen years where other years where the base has changed. And I don't know why that happened. It shouldn't have. I don't believe it should have happened. That's something they're looking into for us as well. With that in mind, I'm thinking that we could probably have a good argument for some of the expense to be paid for by the DDA and the TIFA. I mean, if they can find a lot of extra money for DDA, you know, it makes sense. DDA may pay a portion of that bill. If there is issues with the TIFA and the base out there, again, you know, it's probably arguable that maybe TIFA should at least kick in a portion of the bill to help out. So that's what we're looking at primarily.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
No further questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes, thank you. I, request approval for authorization for the city manager to enter into a lease agreement for a new copier.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Support.
We have a lot of moves.
Support.
Oh, you're gonna hand it to me now?
Yes, now.
Obviously, this can't be real good.
Well, in case you haven't heard any of the staff muttering in the hallway, you would already know that our copier has seen its best days downstairs. So we've been soliciting proposals from a number of companies, and actually, what we're looking at, currently, we're just paying the maintenance agreement for the current copier, and the proposals we're receiving are less for the new copier than we're paying for just the maintenance. So, and
Saving money.
and we apparently have some bidding wars going on. So I was hoping to have a final decision today, but it just keeps getting better. So I was hoping to just get authorization from you today to enter into one of the agreements. If you're looking at the sheet with the 4 squares, it would probably be the second one, I don't want to name them out loud, and the fourth one. They're pretty comparable, and both of the evaluations we received on the machines are comparable. So it's just drilling down to the details of what we think would be the best fit and who would make the best offer.
I'm liking the first one.
And both of those would be, they're less than $2,000 a year, and we're presently paying about $3,000 just for maintenance. So we're looking at a 5-year lease agreement. It would probably,
So you said you're suggesting the second one or the third one, or the fourth
the
one?
second or the fourth,
Yeah, okay.
In a 5-year lease,
yes, which would exceed
at
my
that
authorization.
amount each year,
Yes,
no money down.
no.
We don't own the copier at the end of 5 years.
No, but both of them are making it available to you what they call the fair market value, which is usually like 5 to 10% of what the sale price was.
Just for curiosity, do you know how much one of those things costs? Just,
One of these
You
is
just-
actually $15,000.
okay.
Not surprised.
Are we budgeted okay for it?
Yes, because we're already budgeting $3,000 a year, so this is less than that, so we're saving money.
And the savings are going,
It would just be in the,
talk
go
about
to
that. Adjourn.
to the fund balance.
Okay. If there are no more questions, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Wheaton,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Domingo.
Yes. Future agenda items? Yes.
I'd like to put the Albion Housing Commission on the March 2nd, so I can give my liaison officer report. I'll be going through President Arnett. My second item would be, at their earliest convenience, a report from the Planning Commission concerning the City of Albion Master Plan. This is my third request.
So that's on the agenda tomorrow, right? Yeah, so, I mean, it might be helpful to be there too, so.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We're hearing from Honeywell, right? They're supposed to be coming the first week in March.
Is it the
Yeah, I
first
forgot about that.
or the 17th, 16th?
I forgot which one.
I thought it was the
March.
first
They're
week
coming
in
back
March.
in
Yeah, I was
March.
gonna say, it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah, but
second. It
The
is
first meeting or the
it's
second meeting?
No, it's the first meeting.
That's what I thought.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, so it's March 2nd, but it's the first March meeting.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And then the goal session, did we,
Yeah.
the dates?
Yes, those are set for Tuesday, February 24th, and Tuesday, March 3rd at 6 o'clock, both will be at the library.
Naomi Lane Room.
No, the Monroe.
No, the smaller one, I think.
Wasn't it the Monroe room?
Yeah, it was a smaller one.
Yeah.
So that's the one on the second floor with the history room?
Second
Yeah.
floor to the left instead.
To the left
the
of
right.
it, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
black
yeah, yeah.
table.
It's actually the library board's meeting room.
It's where all the old archives are too, right?
Okay,
I'll get you there, Randy.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
all right. We have nobody to excuse this evening, so citizens' comments. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to no more than 5 minutes. Proper decorum is required. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Yes, Mike? Name and address, please.
Mike Behrman, 11016 29 Mile Road. Like I said, I'm going to be here the second meeting of the month from the county. Give you a little bit of update of what happened at the last meeting. We were appointed a lot of our new committees that we're going to be on. And I've been on a couple of them already, and I go to one more tomorrow, which will be the Workforce Development Group. So that's great. We also accepted the master plan for the county recreation, parks and recreation plan. And I will definitely sit down with you and go over that, because before we accepted it, I wanted to make sure that if there was any problems with it, or if something wasn't added to it properly, that we could go back and add things to it and make sure that we are represented the way that we really want to be represented here. So I'm still learning an awful lot being a new commissioner, and I thank you for all the help that you guys have given me. Now, take that hat off, turn it around. Now that I'm president of the Albion Public Schools School Board, I want to apologize to you for not making the meeting, the joint meeting between the city, the college, and the school, because that was made on the night that I had my commissioner meeting, and I had to be there to do that. So I wanted to apologize for that. Also, if you haven't seen already, the Bridge Magazine article, Albion Elementary School ended up 21st out of over 3,000 schools, and we were 61 out of the 3,000 schools in the state of Michigan, so we did very, very well. And the Bridge Magazine is a more representative of where we stand, because it starts looking at apples for apples and oranges for oranges, and actually looking at where we stand. And we were one of the top in Jackson or Calhoun County, so that's something to be proud of for the community. And we're starting to see a lot of good things happening at the school. People say, well, gee, and I said, yeah, we've only had the K-8 there for 2 years. We have come a long ways in the few years we've had it, so we're hoping to go a lot farther. Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
Why did they call us Harrington? I was reading it, that's where I got my information. They put us down as Harrington Elementary School.
Because Harrington was on their, probably on their paperwork, and the Albion Community School probably wasn't on their paperwork yet, so that may be the reason for that. I'm not sure exactly.
Do we have a signed contract?
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens' comments this evening?
I just wanted to respond.
Citizen.
I live here. I just wanted to respond briefly to Councilmember Barnes' inquiry in regards to the Planning Commission. And on their agenda tomorrow night is a draft for their annual report. So once they make any change they want, I will be bringing that back to the council. And also, I think on the March 17th, it was one of the March meetings, we'll be having a presentation in regards to a whole planning concept. So the Planning Commission will be invited to that as well. So there'll be essentially almost a joint meeting on that date to talk about how we can move forward as a community to be planning and for economic development in particular.
Thank you very much. If there is no further, do I have a motion?
So moved.
To adjourn. Oh, I didn't hear him second.
Bill took care of that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And I thank you all very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Hurry up, I wanna go watch
I'm not
Habs
sure
and Habs.
if we-
Habs and Tyler Perry.